If any of you remember back, I've been busy, so I was really surprised to learn that the initial oil rig explosion from which this whole mess has unfolded actually occurred on April 20th. Wow, you know, okay, alright, so you all knew that. That was actually news to me. That this has been going on, this is getting close to 3 months. So, yeah, I had not realized that. And one of the most astounding things to me about all of this is that the mess has gotten so bad that the fact that the death of 11 workers in the initial explosion is an afterthought and not a major national workplace safety scandal, right? That's pretty huge. You know, these are not normal times, if there ever was such a thing. A few days ago, scientists confirmed that the tar balls floating up on the coast of Texas are indeed from the Deepwater Horizon leak. A few weeks ago, oil also began washing up on western Florida and has hit Louisiana, Alabama, and Mississippi also. On the news, we have seen images of people showing up on beaches in bathing suits and then just standing there and staring in horror. We've seen and heard of local pelicans whose wings are too oil-soaked to fly. BP has begun performing controlled burns of oil on the water's surface, in the process igniting endangered sea turtles. Of course, those turtles were probably screwed anyway. Footage of oil rain can be found on YouTube, and the waves of the beach roll brown with floating red spots. These are nightmare images belonging to some kind of apocalyptic movie, except for the fact that they're actually real. If this room had better capabilities, I would have loved to have made a slideshow. You may have heard that BP CEO Tony Hayward complained that the spill was a big problem because he would like his life back. You may have heard that, right? That was cute. Apparently he took it back by going on a yacht race. You know, these kinds of things have gotten out in the news. Understandably, the oil spill has altered our political culture in a considerable way. Support for the Tea Party movement has recently declined among white Southerners. In my own life, I recently encountered a Wawa worker talking about killing all Iraqis, and in the same breath proposed lynching that BP CEO. Where I work, the subject of mockery in the locker room used to be homosexuals, but now it's oil corporations. Some people have called the oil spill Obama's Katrina, stripping away the last hope for many people that Obama was going to govern differently from Bush. For some reason, after the explosion, the Coast Guard estimated that 1,000 barrels or 42,000 gallons of oil per day was flowing from the leak. In my mind, that's pretty bad, but what I can't fathom is why the Coast Guard made this very friendly estimate when BP's own worst-case estimate for a potential oil spill, when they were applying for a permit, was 162,000 barrels or 6.8 million gallons per day. Sure enough, internal BP documents released by Congress on June 20th stated that the real oil flow may be as much as 4.2 million gallons per day, or 100,000 barrels of oil. You may have also heard that the general liner of the oil reserve is damaged, as opposed to one spouting geyser, the seafloor is actually bleeding oil in multiple dispersed locations across the seafloor. Oil is currently trading at about $76 per gallon, or no, sorry, $76 per barrel. Multiply 100,000 barrels of oil by about $75 per barrel over the course of 90 days, and you get $675 million of oil leaking into the ocean, 378 million gallons roughly. The average American consumes about 75,000 gallons of oil in a lifetime, so this oil spill has unleashed about 5,000 American lifetimes worth of oil into the ocean. Of course, this is just the lost oil. Putting a price on the ocean's cleanliness is pretty impossible. We could put a price on the cleanup. According to the London-based Reuters news service, the cost will be about $14 billion. This was back in May, when BP said it was spending $6 million a day, and it predicted it would have to jack up the price considerably once the oil slicks made landfall. In practice, it has cost $3 billion according to recent reports so far. Of the 2,000 oil skimmers in the USA, only 400 have been sent to the Gulf. This was as of June 2nd. Of the 100 foreign ships volunteering to help, this is all according to Wall Street Journal, June 2nd, or July 2nd, sorry. Okay, so of the 100 foreign ships who came to offer to help, only 40 have been approved and permitted by the U.S. government as of last week. There are various theories about why this is. For one thing, over the last year, the USA has exhibited a very bizarre behavior of hogging disaster response, often at the expense of real victims. The USA has been refusing to allow non-U.S. assistance into Haiti, for example, forcibly turning it away. We need to get rid of whatever power trip we're on and just let people help. That would be one thing. The Floridan public advocacy lawyer, Mike Papantonio, claimed that one thing holding up the cleanup effort is that oil tankers are all full of oil right now and waiting for the price of oil to go back up before they sell it, and then they'll be empty and free to come help clean up the oil spill. So, I mean, we got to make your buck first. The U.S. government demanded that BP set up a $20 billion escrow account to pay for the cleanup and damages. In the news, we heard some commentators calling this like this huge improper procedure. You know, how dare we violate the sacred law of property? Republican Texan Representative Joe Barton apologized to BP for this on behalf of the Republicans, and then revoked his apology. According to last Thursday's Wall Street Journal, the U.S. government, this was just 2 days ago, the U.S. government has also requested that BP give the government advance notice of any assets that BP intends to sell, which I think we should welcome as good news. This sometimes indicates that a government intends to hold a company accountable or take more of its money, though given the Obama administration's generosity towards failing corporations in the past, I wouldn't really hold my breath. Chris Matthews of Hardball said we found ourselves in another too-big-to-fail situation. BP is protesting the request of advance notice of asset sales being required. Some corporate hack professor quoted in the Wall Street Journal called the federal government's request highly unusual, but that it reflected the unusual nature of the escrow account, as if there is something unusual about seizing the assets of a company that made a giant hole in your ocean and that gross environmental catastrophes aren't a really unusual thing going on here. So we have certain parties being a bunch of crybabies over the $20 billion escrow account, but let's look at the numbers. The cleanup, again, may cost $14 billion, and those are just by current estimates. However, this does not account for the real damage to livelihoods in the Gulf. One family owning the small Mariah Jade Shrimp Company is still trying to pay off $170,000 worth of disaster loans for all the 4 hurricanes in the last 5 years, which of course have nothing to do with global warming. On top of the new absolutely crippling impact on their business by the oil. They say that, quote, this is really different, they're saying. And by that they mean the hurricanes came and went, right? But now they're stuck with environmental damage affecting their business in a way that they don't know how it will end, when it will end, if it will end, right? And when they'll be able to resume business. For now, they're awaiting BP's payment of the estimated 6,000 roughly loss per day to their business. BP, of course, declines to publicly comment on specific cases. For now, Mariah Jade Shrimp Company has won a contract from BP of about the same amount that they made each day to help clean up the oil spill, but there are some problems with that, and I'll get to that later. Beyond this anecdotal story of a family already struggling with environmental and economic crisis, CNNMoney.com paints a shocking picture of what is at stake. The 4 biggest industries, this is them talking, I'm quoting, in the Gulf of Mexico, the 4 biggest industries are oil, tourism, fishing, and shipping, and they account for some $234 billion in economic activity each year, according to a 2007 study done by UT, I believe. 2/3 of that amount is in the U.S., and the other third is in Mexico. By my reckoning, that's about $150 billion worth of damage annually within the USA, though I see no reason why BP shouldn't be paying damages to Mexico and Mexican citizens as well. As opposed to these figures, BP has so far paid out they haven't paid $150 billion, but about $150 million in damage claims. Ecologically, the spill is threatening the Mississippi River Delta, the spawning site of an annual $2.4 billion worth of fish, as well as many other catches of the seafood industry, such as oysters and shrimp. The Delta provides a large portion of the national wild seafood supply. So the poisoning of fish hatching areas by oil and dispersant being used on the oil could have long-term effects on wildlife and the people who make their living from it. So continuing this theme of wonderful stinginess, according to rawstory.com, Louisiana activist Kendra Arneson said that BP was effectively refusing to give compensation payments to fishermen who refused to work for the BP-led oil cleanup. In their legalese, they said, BP will continue its efforts to pay legitimate claims for losses incurred due to the Deepwater Horizon incident. However, federal law clearly provides for adjustments for all income resulting from the incident, all income from alternative employment or business undertaken, and potential income from alternative employment or businesses not undertaken but reasonably available, and by that they mean their own cleanup.